Hey guys, today we'll be talking about one of the hardest Battlegrounds concepts, and that's pivoting. Pivoting is the idea of changing your comp. This could either be changing the tribe you're playing or what would be your win condition. Normally, when we think of win conditions, we're generally referring to just stats, finding scaling earlier or more efficiently or more exponentially than our opponents. However, the game going on in the background will be an example of how that's not necessarily the only case that you can do. In doing this, we'll be going through 5 tips for pivotings and questions that you should be asking yourself when pivoting. So, the first question you should be asking is, when should you pivot? Pivot really is as simple as pivot when your current comp isn't working. If you would get outscaled, if you don't have the core of a comp, these are all conditions where it's reasonable to pivot. In the game in the background, you'll find that I was able to stabilize early with Bird Buddy and Beast Summons, and in the mid game I was able to stabilize with Trigger. However, you'll find out that I didn't find the rest of a core comp, and everyone else in the lobby essentially did have core minions and a comp, and they were scaling, and that was the sign that I had to transition out. So how was I able to transition out? And that gets us to the second tip, which is keep flexible minions. Minions like Titus and McCall are a really good example as a death rattle core that makes pivoting between comps like Undead and Beast very easy. You'll be able to see that I was able to use McCall as a transition to go into Kangors, and when I was able to give my Amalgam Hero Power Reborn, I created what's essentially a new core, a scam core, if we want to say, which was a Reborn, Amalgam, a McCall, and a Kangors. This is kind of a 4-minion core that really does the same as any other 4-minion synergy that you would talk about in a traditional stat comp. This kind of gets a question of how do you actually pivot? And the way I think of this is there's 2 ways to pivot. And you'll be asking, should I pivot fast or pivot slow? Fast pivot is a 1-turn pivot. Normally you'll do this if you have Bran or just a lot of gold. Really the only other way you have a lot of gold is something like Mex, where you got a bunch of the 1 gold magnetic copied over. But anyways, doing a 1-turn pivot is a higher risk but also a higher cap. You're generally going to be selling 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 minions in 1 turn, and replace all of them with a new best board. The biggest example of this would be something like going Bran with Murlocs and just having Primal Fin pop off to give you a really solid Murloc board. Slow pivoting is much more common, and it's generally where you're replacing 1 to 2 minions a turn. The way that you can kind of think about this and be more efficient with this is during combat, or if you have any extra time in your shop phases, is think of what is the next 1 to 2 minions that you should sell. And really, you should be kind of having this mindset every time a minion on your board switches out. You should be thinking about what are the key enablers and what are the key minions or what minions are no longer core on my current board. The next kind of question that you should be asking, especially if you're doing the slow pivot, is how can you be more economical about it? Really, when you're doing the slow pivot, you don't have a lot of gold, and the biggest tip to being more economical is scouting the lobby. When you scout the lobby, you can see what tech units that you could pick up in at least to be safe in your next round, and potentially if you see a bunch of players are all playing the same comp or similar comps, you can use 2 tech units that you find in your first roll or 2 as part of minions that can just be like a foundational, not necessarily a core unit, but core to your board while you find the key minions in your future boards. In this game, I used some very common scam units while finding a way to maximize my comp. Minions like Leroy and Bramble are generally really safe picks that do this really well. They're kind of general 1-for-1 minions, and if you see them in the shop, you can use it to be more efficient about your transition. Safe pickups are really important because that gets us to the final tip, which is when you're pivoting, really you should be thinking of the pivot as a calculated risk. If there's 7 people left in a lobby, you generally are better off just scaling, because at this point you're trying to tech into 7 players, where if there's only 2 people left, it's easier to tech into 2 players than 7. However, in that same 7-person lobby, let's say you're going against someone that's been hitting everyone for 15 the last 3-4 times, you're under 15 health. At that point, it might be worth pivoting into scam or teching some units, because they're hitting everyone for 15, then you don't want to die this turn. The other thing that you should think about is some heroes and hero powers have particular pop-off turns. A couple examples of those. Ticketus, for example, has a really strong 8 and 12 because that's when it gets hero power to proc and he has tickets. Generally, you can kind of skip the turn 4-1 because the turn 4 ones are pretty minimal. But the 8, 12, and if you ever hit 16 are really big turns for Ticketus. A similar hero, Voon, has a really strong 4, 7, 10, but a really weak turns 3, 6, and 9 because it's waiting to copy a minion in the hand. And if you see that they're doing 15 to people before this, you can imagine that they're only going to pop off even more on these new pop-off terms. Or if you see that they've been going pretty even with people and you're going into the turn before a pop-off, you can imagine they're going to be a little bit weaker than average and use this as a chance for you to do a calculated risk of if it's worth just scaling for another turn or potentially pivoting out and playing more tech scam units or just swapping to a new comp. Really, the biggest thing to think about is it's not worth trying to scale when other people are scaling faster than you. And that is the biggest tip I can give to pivoting, is recognizing whether you're winning the stats game or not. If you're not winning the stats game, it's not worth staying with your current comp. Anyways, I hope this helps you guys. I hope this all makes sense for you and helps you guys on your climb. Good luck out there and see ya. Bye.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.
Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah.
He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression,
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives. You create thoughts. Never waste time. You got one shot. You got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5. No mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way. What I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.